welcome back to Live and Breathe Horses and Nuno Oliveira's wonderful book From an Old Master Trainer to Young Trainers. So today we are on chapter 18, which is the way you hold the reins. And you see here holding the reins in one hand. So after the beginning of the century, the International Equestrian Federation established to hold the reins apart, that is, in two hands, and established this as the classical position for dressage competition. It was not in the past the way to use the reins. It was in the past the way to use the reins for young horses. I do not make comments about this. Me, by habit, I do it this way. After a certain degree of training of my horses, or in a certain moment of the lesson, I take my reins in the left hand and I observe the collection and straightness of my horse. I ask him for some side passes, half passes, and some counter changes of hand with good bend. Do not forget, all persons have a tendency to have more force or strength in one side than in the other. All these things seem to be of equitation of the past and not of interest to present-day riders. But the interesting thing is that in an international dressage competition recently, a Russian rider with his hat in his right hand executed all the movements of the Grand Prix with the reins in one, with his hat in one hand, so he had the reins in one hand. The public was fascinated and applauded him. This was also, I'm pretty sure Rainer Klimke did that as well in the 80-something Olympic. So, I repeat, in all equitation, to take the reins separate was originally for the training of young horses, and the equerre with the reins in the left hand and the whip or platonic upright in the right hand. So that was the way, the traditional way. Note, attach the reins to a wall. Take the reins in both hands, as is normal nowadays, and measure the pressure of each hand or rein with a small scale for weighing. And after, remember and understand the difference in your hands. So, of course, we all have a difference in our hands, and this is obviously going to have a massive effect on our horses. So it's a great exercise to do, to take your reins in one hand and see how many movements you can perform and how it's going, and like he says, to measure and be very aware of the difference in your hands. I'm always surprised now they haven't come up with some high-tech thing you can have in the reins that measures so you can actually see what's going on. Must be an app on the phone for that. So anyway, have a go with that. It's interesting, you know. And of course, in the past, when horses were used more for work, whether it was working cattle or, you know, further back in war, that you had to be able to control with one hand because you needed the other hand to hold your weapon or tool or whatever else you were doing. You know, here I see them ride a lot in the ferries with one hand so they can have a drink or a cigarette in the other hand. So that's a different pleasure more than necessity way for doing it. But yeah, have a play with that, have a go. And any comments, I'd be glad to hear from you. You can leave them down below. So thank you for being with me today. Keep on tuning into the light, and I look forward to see you next time.